In the ancient village of Beth-Shema, there lived a woman named Liora, whose name meant "my light." Liora was known throughout the village for her kindness, humility, and unwavering faith. She was a beloved figure, often found helping the poor, feeding the hungry, and comforting the lonely. But despite her compassion and her prayers, Liora carried a deep sorrow. Liora had longed for a child for many years, but her womb remained barren. Her husband, Eliab, loved her deeply and often reassured her that she was enough for him, child or no child. But Liora felt an emptiness in her heart, yearning for a son or daughter to hold. Year after year, she watched other mothers cradle their babies and teach their children to walk, and while she was happy for them, she carried her grief in silence. Every morning and evening, Liora went to the village temple, kneeling in prayer. Her pleas became a familiar sound to those who passed by the temple, and her faith became a testament to the villagers. Even in her sorrow, she was still a light, and the people respected her greatly for it. One night, Liora went to the temple alone, her heart heavy yet full of faith. She poured out her soul to God, tears streaming down her face as she prayed, "Lord, if you will remember me and grant me a child, I will dedicate him to you all the days of his life." As she whispered her prayer, an elderly priest named Azariah overheard her. Seeing her tears, he approached and asked gently, "Why do you weep, dear Liora?" She explained her longing for a child and her promise to dedicate the child to the service of God if her prayers were answered. Azariah, touched by her sincerity, placed a hand on her shoulder and said, "Go in peace, my daughter. May the God of Israel grant your request." Liora left the temple that night with renewed hope. She trusted that her prayers had been heard, even though she did not know when or how her request would be fulfilled. A promise fulfilled. In the months that followed, a miracle began to unfold. Liora's body grew with new life, and soon it became clear to all that she was with child. The whole village celebrated with her, rejoicing that God had heard her prayer and blessed her at last. Her heart overflowed with gratitude, and she never forgot her promise. When the time came, Liora gave birth to a son, and she named him Shemiel, meaning God has heard. She cherished every moment with him, singing him songs of gratitude and teaching him the stories of their faith. But Liora remembered her vow. As Shemiel grew, she knew she must fulfill her promise to God. When he was old enough, she brought him to the temple and spoke to Azariah, the priest who had blessed her that night. With a bittersweet heart, she placed Shemiel's hand in his and said, "He is the answer to my prayer. As I promised, I dedicate him to God." Shemiel grew up in the temple, learning the ways of the priests and serving with humility and joy. Liora visited him often, bringing him gifts and telling him stories of his miraculous birth. She watched with pride as her son became known throughout the land for his wisdom, kindness, and devotion. Legacy of faith. As Shemiel grew older, he became a priest, known for his compassion and his ability to comfort those in need. His life became a blessing to countless others, and people came from far and wide to seek his counsel. And every time someone asked him how he had come to be in the temple, he would tell them the story of his mother's unbreakable faith, her prayerful heart, and her promise to God. In time, tell them the story of his mother's unbreakable faith, her prayerful heart, and her promise to God. In time, Liora's story became a legacy of hope and trust, a reminder to the people of Beth-Shema that faith, even in the darkest times, could bring forth light and blessings. Her name, My Light, came to represent the power of a prayerful heart and a promise kept.